What is going on. So I've formulated my watch list for next week. It's fairly simple, very straightforward, using the same pairs that we went through yesterday. I also added in silver just after going through everything. I took out Aussie New Zealand. After evaluating it very closely, I just felt it's not really the one, it's not the best area. I'm going to leave that one out for now. So it is going to be kind of more so on soft watch. So if it not soft watch, but kind of off my pairs, but I will probably just check into it throughout the week when I do a quick scan. But going through the pairs that I've got for this week, I've got the GXY on there for sure, which I'm essentially just looking at this to see if that we do carry on to the upside. Now, as we've seen on the lower time frame, we did basically have more than enough in this area, and then it was very interesting to see that push away. So we're looking at continuations across the board on US related pairs. As we mentioned yesterday, there's not really much else that we can see. If we can formulate continuation here, then we may be enough to go into these areas, and then if we push through, we could then be looking at a move. I would anticipate this to get a little bit more complex in these areas. So if we get something here, then just understand that when we get to these areas, if you saw something like that, I wouldn't just get scared and get out your position here. I just understand that this is a part of the sequence because we haven't technically had a larger flag. So this would still make sense for this to continue to the upside. Bear that in mind. The US 500 as well. This one is still one I'm still waiting on now. The nice thing about it is we did kind of just reject on it, but from a sort of higher time frame perspective, this still looks like continuation to go to the upside. We still don't have the full guarantee. Now, what we do have is the potential for this to be to have an expanding in it as well, but more than likely, we just want to see that we get rejection from this area, and then if we can actually sell off from here, then we may get an abundance of continuations on the way down, which could be nice. I'm not anticipating this to be a huge sell, but it could even turn into a larger range. I just want to see what this can actually develop into, and if we do get a fair sequence to the downside, so I can actually take advantage of pairs like the US 30. JP225, essentially looking at the long on this one, so we can see it's corrective by nature, so not really looking at any trade right now. It's one of those ones where, because of how price is moving, you just wouldn't want to get involved in that. Even if it just pushed up, gave you a clear flag there, then you know that would be kind of more of a no-brainer, because we've just clearly pushed above a lot of price here, really decided, and we've gone with it. But there'll always be levels of subjectivity to it. You'll kind of convince yourself to get out or not take into a good trade, but just look at it for what it is. And I think more than likely what we'd want to do is, if we saw this start pushing up, we would then look to the JP related pairs, and we'd be looking for continuations on that. So this week I didn't actually put any JP pairs on there. Now there is some potential like GBP yen, which I did take a trade on last week, but I just don't see it being the one right now. This is not the pair, this is a Rwanda GBP JPY, this one here. So I was looking at this for the continuation to go higher, which is completely good as well, but I think at this point in time there's so much better pairs on watch. I was just happy to filter them out, especially with the subjectivity around price right now. It could just really mess around, and I don't want to get caught up in some messy price action. Top six. So my top six consist of AU, EA, EN, GU, NC, and EC. I've already formulated my daily watch list for tomorrow. But more so what I'm looking at for AU is I'm saying neutral in this area, but I am holding a bias towards shorts. It would be nice if the reversal was to come in play. I wouldn't be taking it personally. It's not something that I have huge experience with, but it would be something that I will study to learn from if we did get it. So there's going to be a win-win in this anyway. If this to end up being a loss, there would be a lesson in it, and I'd be able to learn something very valuable from it. Aussie New Zealand Aussie US dollar looking for that short. It's very simple. We've got this expanding. We've now got momentum. We've broken that low, and now looking for continuation below it. It's very, very simple, this trade. Euro Aussie, same situation, very simple. We've basically had a 1, 2, 3. I'm looking for this to just kind of wick out, push back in, and just give me that continuation. Now we have got there pretty impulsive in the state of a 1, 2, 3, which is nice. 1, 2, 3, and essentially I want to see this just kind of pull up, come back in, give me continuation below the ray line, and then look to go short. Weight is better. I'm not looking for something so large. Obviously this could even be a little bit more squeezed, but I am looking for something with structure and then deliberate price action to go short. So I will be keeping a close eye on EA, but I don't think it will shape up until Tuesday time anyway, because we still need it to get push up and then push back in. If this just sold off from here and started continuating down here, then that would easily be moved over to my watch list for Monday, but we'll have to wait and see. Euro New Zealand, now this one was kind of an iffy one. In fact, this was actually a wild card, and AC was the one to be in the top 6, but what I'm looking at is we've correctively squeezed into this low. Now we've actually got some momentum, we've pushed higher. I'm now looking for a continuation pattern to formulate for us to go long, so I will be patient with this one, but I am going to be waiting to see how structure develops to see if we can get along. This will most probably shape up around about Monday, so right now I'm just not going to put it on watch just yet, because I've still got quite a fair amount on watch, but I will be keeping a close eye on this one for sure, because I'd like to see how that develops, and then if it's clear as day, I may be able to take advantage of it. But even so, we've broken out of this corrective squeeze now, and we're moving to the upside, so we just need to see deliberate price action, manage into these areas, and then once we've managed from there, we can manage to so forth. So a little bit of semi-aggressive management on that, but we're all good. And then going into the other ones, I'll go through the watch list in the daily watch first, and then we essentially have this. So similar with Aussie US dollar, and we're same with the DXY. I'm just looking for continuation from a higher time frame perspective. We've tapped into a area of interest, then we've hovered around in this area. In a sense, we've given it that M star. We just failed to commit 1, 2, 3, and then mini double top, and then we sold off, and now just looking for continuation into these lows. I think that would be a pretty solid trade from an A to B movement, and then we can see if we actually get a continuation trade to the downside. So once again, a fairly simple trade. In terms of that, I'm looking for a 2-touch, so I am going to be looking to see that if we can, we've got the base, I want to see if we can actually come back in, tap into these areas, accumulate enough volume across the board here, and then continue to the downside. I think it will be pretty impulsive, so most likely it'll be a risk entry play, but if an insurance entry comes in, fair enough, on the lower time frame, I would probably look at that as an extra confluence if I didn't take the risk entry, and then maybe even opt in for that, because we'd still be in the area for the risk entry, and then protection you'd probably put above just to be extra safe. New Zealand CAD, similar to what we're seeing across the board as well with the Euro pairs, we're seeing that strong push down, and we're looking for continuation. So you can see that this is a pretty good scenario right now, where we've kind of broken above this, we've pulled up, and then we've just aggressively pushed back in. Now I'm looking for deliberate price action to get in short, ideally a 1, 2, 3. If this does do a scoop, scoop and a 2-touch, then I'll evaluate it closer, but more than likely I'm looking for a 3-touch, so I will give that time to develop, but that should be developing through Monday, potentially be ready by Tuesday, but I will keep it on watch during Monday anyway. And then last but not least on top 6 is EuroCAD. Now EuroCAD is a little bit more tricky, because what happened over here is we tapped into the low, but we didn't break through it, and then we started to kind of push away, but correctively. So it gives me the sign that we are in a non-progressive move to the upside, and we are formulating a continuation pattern or just a correction, but I want to see if there's structure in there. If there's clear enough structure and I can get involved, then I can actually just decide between my CAD pairs which one I'm going to go with. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the watch list that we have for the top 6, because if you look at this from a higher time frame as well, it's absolutely great. You can see that we have the 1, 2, 3, the squeeze, we pushed up, we failed to commit, now we've pushed back in, we filled the wicks, and now we have a clear run from A to B if we can break that low. So that's what I'm really counting on. I will be extra patient with EuroCAD as well, because it's not moving like New Zealand CAD. It is a little bit subjective in this area right now, but New Zealand CAD's a lot more clear, so that's the preferred entry. Euro USD, not the most preferred US related pair, but if it shapes up, it shapes up, right? We just need to give it some time. So it is above this low at the moment. If we formulate something here, then it's a no-brainer to take it into that low. If we break it and we do something through or below, that's a no-brainer. So similar to GU and AU forecast, just going to have to be extra patient. And you as well, once again, Aussie CAD kind of in a similar boat. We're in this range, but what's actually happened is we've tapped into this area and then we've retested it and rejected, but we've rejected with huge momentum. It's more than likely that we're going to see this push to the downside, but I want to see a continuation formulate. This could take a day or two to just kind of develop whatever structure it needs to, but this would be more so my first flag scenario. So for that reason, I am going to be waiting for a 1 hour flag. Doesn't really matter, I'm not really too fast, I just need to wait. It could potentially go from this point here as the high, and then it formulates over there. There's so many different variations to how this can formulate, but I'm going to be patient, just wait and see how structure formulates, and then see if I can take advantage of it. But definitely for Monday, I would keep an eye on Aussie CAD as well, just because it's in the same line with New Zealand CAD and Euro CAD. I think you could argue Aussie CAD is a little bit better than EuroCAD, but it's only because it's still within this range. I preferred EuroCAD over Aussie CAD, but they're both as good as each other. USD Swiss is also another really nice pair. So despite the fact that the the DXY is moving up, this is why we're remaining neutral, because we can still get the short play if the DXY messes about. And then this kind of just comes in here, we get the 3 touch and we continue to the downside. So I'm still going to keep this on watch, because this could shape up if the DXY just messes about, and then who knows, we might actually get a really nice trade on USD Swiss, and the US related pairs just don't happen to give us a clear entry. So this is kind of more so a hedge play, but if we do start to continue in the bullish direction, then we can clearly see that we get a push up, insurance entry up here, and we continue to the upside. It's a very, very simple, this trade. And likewise GBP Swiss. GBP Swiss, I'm not looking for the long, I'm still actually looking for the short, but I want to see some developed structure here. So clearly a 1, 2, 3, and then we get that risk entry, and I'll be in there for the short. If we do get an insurance entry, it is what it is. Not really too fast. The structure hasn't really given us enough just yet for us to fully take this, but it does look like there's structure developing in here, so we just need to wait and give it some time. And then New Zealand US dollar, which I did cover as well, we're just basically looking for that push down, the entry to go short. So that's that. And then we have the soft watch extras. We're basically looking at continuation to the downside. Now from the weekly, I think it paints the best picture. You can see that we have strong momentum. We've broken above, failed to commit, and now we've just pushed down. And what we've had here was the potential for a bull flag, right? A larger bull flag, but it's now looking like it's not really ready to go. So I will just be very, very patient with this, because what could happen if we get continuation there, and I've seen this many times where you can see it like this as well, where it looks like it's going to go short. You know, you're lining everything up, you're thinking if it like this, and you're like, okay, perfect area to look for shorts, and then what happens? It creates a continuation pattern here and goes. So I will definitely be on the ball for that. If it does start to pull up long, then I understand what it is. It's basically just a squeeze into this area to go long, retesting the back end of these areas, but more so I am looking at shorts because of how the weekly is formed and how the daily candles are looking as well. We're looking pretty good for the shorts. And then I've got the US 30. Now the thing with the US 30 is I took a trade on it last week, so I moved it into my watch because I'm still in a position on it. If I wasn't in a position on it, I would have probably been a bit iffy with the trade, because you know I had a lot on watch anyway, so I would have probably just maybe possibly had it on soft watch. But more than likely now what I'm going to be looking at is we've tapped into that retest and we've rejected, which is nice. The rejection did happen pre-market close, so it could be a bit of profit take in there as well. So we'll have to wait till market open to really see that. If it does start pulling up, then you know it's a 1% profit. If not, we might be in for a decent trade. Regardless, I'm going to be waiting for price to push down and give me a continuation pattern in these areas. Now, it doesn't matter if it's outside, if it's inside, if it's hovering. I just need to see a pattern within this area to then signify that, okay, cool, we are getting the next continuation to potentially go short into these areas. And it's a clear run for me. You know, I'd just be wary of the inflection points on the way, but they're quite spacious between them. And yeah, we're pretty good. So that's essentially how I'm going to be looking to take it for this week. I think the markets are looking phenomenal. There's been a lot of movement across the board. I think most of all, the most interesting one to be watching right now is probably the DXY, because we've been waiting a huge amount of time, and if you actually just really just understand that this has just been accumulating a lot of volume. So if now we're ready to go and this is the beginning of the really aggressive move to the upside, you want to be positioning yourself on that sequence, but not on the DXY, on the related pairs. So if we're getting an abundance of entries coming in and we can get involved on a lot of stuff, then you could probably scale up your accounts pretty fast as well from just focusing on 1 or 2 or 3 pairs. So you don't need to be trading a huge watch list like this. You could actually trade a few US related pairs in the right market conditions, and you could literally turn your portfolio over tenfold. So guys, thanks for watching. It's been a great video. It's been a good week for us to look into for next week. So guys, hopefully we smash next week, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.